Hi everyone, I'm Emily, and welcome to English Every Day.
And I'm Peter. We're so excited to have you join us for another episode of Natural English Learning.
Today we've got something really exciting planned for you. We're going to talk all about travel plans.
That's right. Whether you're planning a weekend getaway or dreaming about your next big adventure, knowing how to talk about travel plans in English is super important.
You know, Peter, I find that so many of our listeners struggle with expressing their travel ideas and making plans in English.
Absolutely. That's why we're going to share some really useful expressions that you can use right away when talking about your own travel plans.
We'll learn 5 amazing phrases that native English speakers use all the time when discussing their travels.
And the best part is, these aren't just for travel. You can use them in many everyday situations too.
So get ready to learn some practical English that will help you sound more natural and confident when talking about your future adventures.
And remember, learning English is just like planning a journey. It's all about taking one step at a time.
Let's jump right into our vocabulary preview for today. We've got 5 super useful expressions that you'll hear all the time when talking about travel.
Our first expression is catch up. Let's say it together. Catch up, catch up, catch up.
This phrase means to meet and talk with someone you haven't seen for a while. Like when I say, I can't wait to catch up with my old friends when I visit London next month.
Next, we have bucket list. Everyone repeat after me. Bucket list, bucket list, bucket list.
A bucket list is a list of things you want to do or experience before you die. For example, visiting the Great Wall of China is at the top of my bucket list.
Our third expression is look forward to. Say it with us. Look forward to, look forward to, look forward to.
When you're excited about something that's going to happen in the future, you look forward to it. Like, I'm really looking forward to my vacation in Spain.
The fourth expression is run into. Let's practice. Run into, run into, run into.
This means to meet someone by chance or unexpectedly. For instance, I ran into my college roommate at the airport last week.
And our final expression for today is set off. Once more together, set off, set off, set off.
When you set off, you begin a journey. You might say, we're planning to set off early tomorrow morning to avoid traffic.
These phrases are really common in everyday English, and you'll hear them a lot when people talk about their travel plans.
Take a moment to practice these expressions, and don't worry if they feel a bit strange at first. The more you use them, the more natural they'll become. All right, let's put this vocabulary into practice with a real conversation. Let's listen in.
Hey Mark, I can't believe it's been so long. We really need to catch up.
Bob, yes, it's been ages. I heard you're planning a big trip?
Yes, I'm finally going to check something off my bucket list. I'm heading to Japan next month.
That's incredible. I bet you're really looking forward to it. How long are you going for?
2 weeks. I'm planning to set off on the 15th. You've been there before, right?
Yeah, I went last spring. Actually, funny story, I ran into our old colleague Mike at the Tokyo Tower.
No way. What are the chances? Hey, since you've been there, do you have any must-see recommendations?
Absolutely. You have to visit Kyoto. The temples there are breathtaking. And make sure to try the street food in Osaka.
Thanks for the tips. I'm definitely adding those to my itinerary. Would you believe I'm actually traveling solo?
Really? That's so brave. I could never do that.
I was nervous at first, but I'm looking forward to the adventure. Plus, it's easier to catch up with locals when you're on your own.
That's such a good point. And speaking of catching up, we should grab coffee before you set off. I'd love to share more tips.
That would be perfect. It's definitely going on my pre-trip bucket list. How about next week?
Sounds great. I'll text you some dates. You'll have to tell me all about your planning so far.
Can't wait! And when I get back, we'll have to catch up again so I can tell you all about the trip.
Let's break down this wonderful conversation. The first thing I noticed was how Mark started with, we really need to catch up.
Yes, that's such a natural way to use this phrasal verb. Catch up means to update each other on what's been happening in your lives. Notice how they used it again at the end when making future plans.
I love how Mark mentioned her bucket list. When she says, check something off my bucket list, it shows that visiting Japan was a long-time dream or goal.
Exactly. And did you notice how naturally Bob used look forward to in her response? Remember, we always use the gerund, the ing form, after this phrase. So it's looking forward to it, not looking forward to do it.
The conversation got really interesting when Bob used run into to describe her unexpected meeting with Mike. This is such a common way to describe coincidental meetings.
And it's much more natural than saying, I met him by chance or I accidentally met him, Native speakers use run into all the time in these situations.
I particularly liked how they used set off twice in different contexts. First, Mark says, "I'm planning to set off on the 15th, meaning she'll start his journey then.
Then Bob cleverly uses it again when suggesting coffee, before you set off. It's a great example of how these phrases can be reused naturally in conversation.
Did you notice how they kept the conversation flowing by asking follow-up questions? Like when Mark asked about recommendations after learning Bob had been to Japan?
Yes, and that's exactly what we want our listeners to do in their conversations. It helps keep the dialogue natural and shows genuine interest.
They also used would in interesting ways, like, "Would you believe?" and "That would be perfect." These are great examples of how we use would to soften statements or express politeness.
The whole conversation feels very authentic because they're sharing real emotions too, like when Bob says, "That's so brave, I could never do that," about solo traveling.
Well, everyone, we've covered so much ground today. Let's quickly recap those fantastic expressions we learned about travel plans.
Right. We practiced using catch up, bucket list, look forward to, run into, and set off, all super useful phrases for talking about travel and making plans with friends.
Remember, these aren't just for travel conversations. You can use catch up anytime you want to meet with an old friend or look forward to when you're excited about any future plans.
Exactly. We encourage you to try using at least one of these expressions today. Maybe text a friend and suggest catching up over coffee.
Or share something from your bucket list in English with someone you know. Practice makes perfect.
And don't forget to check out our website for the full transcript and extra practice exercises. We've got some great worksheets that will help you master these phrases.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. It really helps other English learners find our content.
Keep building your fluency with these 2 videos we highly recommend. Don't miss out on this opportunity to level up your English.
Keep practicing, and most importantly, have fun with English. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye!